A
Stop
young boy
coming
was
to my
ashamed of his
school!
poor
My son,
mother.
what is
He
wrong?
even told
I'm
her never
ashamed
to
of
come
you.
to his
The other
school
kids
again.
make fun of me.
But years later, he discovered a secret about his mother that made him fall to his knees and cry. What he learned that day is a lesson every child in the world should hear. In a quiet rural village surrounded by dusty roads and small mud houses, there lived a poor widow named Maria and her only son, Daniel. Life in the village was simple, but it was not easy. Most families survived by farming small pieces of land or selling food at the market. Maria was one of those people. Every morning before the sun rose, she woke up while the village was still silent. She would carefully arrange vegetables in a basket and walk many kilometers to the market. Some days the sun was harsh, some days the rain poured heavily. But no matter how difficult the day was, Maria never complained. She had only one dream in her heart. She wanted her son Daniel to have a better life than she ever had. While many children in the village stopped going to school to help their parents work in the fields, Maria refused to let Daniel quit his studies. Education, she always told him, is the only thing that can change your life. Even when money was scarce, she always found a way to pay for his books and school fees. Sometimes she skipped meals just so Daniel could eat. To her, his future meant everything. Daniel was a bright boy. He studied hard and often received the best grades in his class. But as he grew older, something slowly began to change in his heart. Many of his classmates came from families that were more comfortable. Their parents wore nice clothes. They arrived at school with clean shoes and shiny school bags. Daniel, however, wore old clothes that his mother had stitched and repaired many times. Little by little, he began to feel embarrassed about his background. One afternoon during lunch break, Daniel was sitting with his classmates in the schoolyard when something unexpected happened. At the school gate, his mother appeared. She had walked a long distance under the hot sun. Her clothes were dusty and sweat covered her face. In her hands, she held a small food container. She smiled warmly and called out, "Daniel, my son, you forgot your lunch." The other children turned to look at her. Some of them
Why
began
did you come to
whispering.
my school?
A few started laughing. Daniel felt his heart sink. Instead of feeling grateful that his mother had walked so far just to bring him food, he felt ashamed. His face burned with embarrassment. He rushed toward her and spoke in a low but angry voice. "Why do you always come here?" he said. "Can't you see people are looking at you?" Maria looked surprised. "I only came because you didn't eat before leaving home," she replied softly. Daniel grabbed the container from her hands. Then he whispered something that would later haunt him for the rest of his life. "Don't ever come to my school again. You're embarrassing me." Maria stood there quietly. For a moment she said nothing. Then she nodded gently and turned around. Without another word, she slowly walked back down the dusty road. But inside her heart, something had broken. Years passed. Daniel eventually finished school and moved to the city to attend university. The city was a completely different world. Tall buildings replaced mud houses. Busy streets replaced quiet village roads. Daniel studied hard and eventually built a successful career. He found a good job, earned a good salary, and surrounded himself with new friends. But as his life improved, he slowly forgot about the person who had sacrificed the most for him: his mother. Calls became rare. Letters stopped completely. Sometimes when people asked about his family, Daniel avoided the topic. Deep down, he was still ashamed of where he came from. Back in the village, Maria continued living in the small house where Daniel had grown up. Every day she waited patiently. She hoped one day her son would visit. But days turned into months. Months turned into years. Still, she never spoke badly about him. Whenever neighbors asked about Daniel, she would smile and say proudly, "My son is doing well in the city." One quiet afternoon, Daniel received an unexpected phone call. It was from someone in his village. The voice on the phone spoke gently. "Daniel, your mother passed away this morning." For a moment, Daniel didn't know what to say. Their relationship had grown distant, but something inside him told him he needed to go back. So after many years away, Daniel returned to the village. As he walked through the familiar dusty roads, memories began to flood his mind. The village looked smaller than he remembered. The house where he grew up stood quietly at the edge of the road, but now it felt empty. A neighbor approached him and handed him a small envelope. "Your mother left this for you," the neighbor said. Daniel slowly opened the letter. His hands trembled as he began to read. "My dear son, if you are reading this letter, it means I am no longer here. Please know that I was never angry with you. I understand that sometimes people feel ashamed of where they come from, but there is something I never told you. When you were very young, you had a terrible accident. You lost one of your eyes. The doctor said you might grow up feeling different from other children, so I made a decision. I gave you one of my eyes. That is why I have lived all these years with only one eye. I only wanted you to see the world normally and live a happy life. Your loving mother." The letter slipped from Daniel's hands. Suddenly, everything became clear. All those years he had felt embarrassed because his mother had only one eye. But he had never asked why. He had never tried to understand. Daniel fell to his knees. Tears streamed down his face as regret filled his heart. His mother had sacrificed part of herself so he could live normally, and instead of gratitude, he had given her shame. In that moment, Daniel understood a truth that many people learn too late. Parents often sacrifice everything for their children. They hide their struggles, they work through pain, they give up their dreams. Also, their children can have a better life. Success in life is not measured by money or status. True success is measured by gratitude, humility, and love. Because at the end of life, the people who matter most are the ones who stood beside us when we had nothing. Daniel learned this lesson too late, but his story reminds us of something important. Never be ashamed of your parents, never forget the sacrifices they made, and never wait until it is too late to say, "Thank you." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this lesson today. And tell me in the comments, what is the greatest sacrifice your parents have made for you? Don't forget to subscribe for more life-changing stories.